Hey, Kris, we'll just get the business part of it done right away. Adam Henrique, Connor Brown. Is Adam out for tonight's game?
Adam is out, and Connor Brown is playing tonight.
Number of days between games, as you know. What sort of sense do you have of the way this team has tried to stay on its toes, make sure that the rust isn't there? I know there's only so much you can do, but what have you kind of seen?
Well, we've had a lot of opportunity to practice, and obviously they touch the puck and pass it around and skate. But I think the one thing you're missing is the intensity, the game, like the system play with being under pressure. And, obviously playing game one in opposition building like Vancouver, there's going to be a lot of energy. And it'll be important for us to be ready to start right for that first puck drop and not being able to just build a game. We got to be able to start right from the start.
Do you anticipate there being a lot of behind the bench here between you and Tocchet, strategy, line matching, that sort of thing? Do you think this series sets up for a lot of that, or?
No, I have no idea. I'm sure each coach will see things that they like and things that they don't, and have to adjust. And I think maybe there is, just because of the star power, the players that can make an impact in the game on both sides. That maybe that's where you get into a little more of the strategies and trying to counter and take away the opposition's strengths. So possibly there might be.
Canucks have spent a lot of time answering questions about how to deal with Connor and even Leon. For you, how do you deal with a player like Quinn Hughes? During the year, he's had the puck on his stick more than any other player in the league, and you saw Nashville really try to take it to him physically. Is that a sound strategy as you see it?
Obviously, you always want to finish your checks, and especially against the players who have the puck or are good at playing the puck. And if we swing away and we're anticipating where he's making the pass, that's where you get caught. That's where you look silly. And, he has the ability to do that. We got to be in a position where, we do want to finish checks on him, but it's also hard to catch him. He's very shifty. It's hard to get those good players. But, I think as a whole, our team wants to be physical against everyone throughout the lineup. But we have to be aware of when he's on the ice, because he can make plays.
Young goaltender for them, 3 playoff games, 9 regular season games. Just what's the approach when you see a guy like that?
Just a player or goalie that's playing well that we have to get to, and no different than any goalie that we're playing. We want to get pucks there, and obviously bodies are very important, especially at this time of the year. And I don't think we have a special strategy. It's certainly something that we're not sharing with everyone today. But he shows that he's playing with a lot of confidence, and we're going to have to be ready to capitalize on our opportunities, because we also know how well Vancouver defends.
Kris, I know you didn't coach all those games against the Canucks, but those 4 games this season, do they have any bearing on preparing for this series?
Yes and no. I think there's some correlation on the season that we have to take notice of. We have to change some things. Obviously, being 0-4 in the series and being outscored as badly as we were, that there are some adjustments that we need to make. Also, we have to look at it as 3 of those games happened at the beginning of the season, first 7-8 games of the year. And the last one came, at the end of the year. But, there's things that we saw that Vancouver did very well and beat us at, and we need to make some small adjustments to kind of minimize their strengths.
Kris, just over here, you have a very long-standing relationship with Connor Brown. I know you said it was very hard to keep him out of the lineup. He described the conversation where you told him that he wouldn't be playing as a pretty tough one. How was it from your end to give him that news going back to the start of the LA series?
It's very tough, especially when you have so much respect for a player, and also not only having a lot of respect for a player, but also a player that had been playing really well. And the decisions that we had to make as a coaching staff was, what does each player give us? We needed, centerman and playing somebody right wing, left wing, penalty kill, all those situations. And he ultimately just kind of got pushed out. And, it was difficult. But I know when we announced or told him that he was not playing that first game, that he would be coming in at some point, whether that was game 2 of the LA series, 3 or 4. And each game, he was always on our mind and almost inserted in the lineup. And now with the injury to Adam, there's a excellent opportunity for Connor to come in and play. And we hopefully he can pick up right where he left off, because he had been playing very well for us.
It's no secret that the start of the year for him was very tough coming off his injury. As when you came on to in November, how long did it take for you to kind of see his game coming, or when did you see the flip kind of switch to the Connor Brown that you kind of got to know before?
I think he's been getting better every day, and the first half of the year was tough for him. I know talking to him, I think we scratched him, I believe it was when we were in New York. And he was a healthy scratch that game. And I know he'd been skating much better. And I know he was playing with a brace, and he had just taken it off. And he was moving much better. But he was building his game. And, I think even in January, he was scratched for another game. But he was getting better. But, I think about the last 2 months, that's when he really started to take off. And I think a lot of it had to do with him scoring that goal, getting that confidence of just putting the puck in the net. And, it takes a long time. An injury like that, taking a full season off, it's not something that, you might be cleared physically to play, but it takes a little bit longer to really get your game. And, this last second half of the year, I think he's played really well.
Kris, building on that, what do you want to see from him tonight that would help cement his spot moving forward here?
Well, I think when you don't play for a while, it's a lot of the decisions you make with the puck. And, I guess not so much the decisions you make, but just recognizing how much time and space you have to make those plays. And the other one is just being able to add a little speed to our lineup. I think Connor's skates really well. We've used him on the penalty kill. He's a big part of our penalty kill in the second half of the season. So I think, being solid on the penalty kill and just being able to drive some play in the offensive zone.
And one housekeeping question, because us Vancouver media folks got burned a couple weeks ago here. You're starting netminder tonight.
Skinner's starting tonight.
Thank you.
On that front, is there any thing you could share on Henrique? Do we think he's questionable for Game 2? Is he out for any? What can you share?
Day to day. We hope to get him in Game 2. Yes, he's just day to day.
Okay, this will be your team's 7th playoff round in the last 3 years. When you have your meetings this last while with your leadership group, planning everything from off days to all that, do you notice a group that's, are you telling them how it's going to go? Are they telling you how it's going to go? They must be pretty experienced at this by now.
They're pretty experienced, and I think with the days off, we had so many practice days, and every day we kind of gave them a little bit of information on what Vancouver does on the face-offs or their forecheck or their identity and stuff like that, and special teams. But, we've been careful of not giving too much information, because ultimately you want the players to just be able to play and not overanalyze things and not paralyze with too much information. I think, I'm learning as we're going here through this playoff run. But I think what I see and from what I've seen from other teams, and obviously this is my first time in the NHL playoffs, but I see a team that's very focused, very determined, and know what to do. So I'm just kind of guiding the ship, but ultimately I have full confidence in that leadership and a group of players that are very committed to playing well.
Kris, apologies if you haven't asked this before, but with this being your first playoffs, what has it been like for you kind of making those adjustments? And how did it work, let's say in the AHL or junior, where do you have more time? Is it the same amount of time? Do you get more film because of the resources? Is it the same amount of film? how much difference or similarities are there in terms of what you do as a head coach in terms of preparing for a series? And no matter what, is it all you think about, or do you have moments where you're like, nah, I need time away?
I definitely need to take some time away. You cannot be thinking about it 24/7. You try and get away and have breaks, otherwise you just get consumed with it. But that being said, it's pretty difficult to do that. As for the information I'm getting is probably a lot more than junior, just because of the resources that I have, a lot more support staff to help me and giving me information, whether that's an analytics team, our video coach staff, the assistants I have. It's just a bigger staff and more ideas and more information that's putting placed in front of me that, now I have to dissect through all that information and find out what's important and what's not.
Sorry, is that overwhelming at times where, while it's good to have all that information, are there times where you're like, it's almost too much, or is there such thing as too much information for you?
It can be too much information, but that's where I see something and I'm like, that's not really that important. It's not that much of effect. Like if you, I don't know, I've said this to my players, if you focus on everything, you end up focusing on nothing. So there is all this information. If I think all this information is important, well then what is really important? I guess it's important for me to find out what is important, focus on that, and then whether I'm addressing it with the players or just building off of that, whatever, making the next step.